relying on external news sources. Asia Vision.
Exciting 25-minute journey that brings you the latest in technological innovations, scientific breakthroughs and human interest stories, all carefully curated by AVN News. I'm Utbah Mahmood, your host for the evening. Being treated for cancer can be an incredibly isolating experience, but one Melbourne initiative is working to change that. The Man's Shed at Melbourne's Peter MacCallum Cancer Centre is providing cancer patients and their families with connection, construction and a break.
It's a space for people during their darkest times, and contrary to the title, it's not just for men.
So I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer.
Susie started visiting the Peter Mac Men's Shed after undergoing her mastectomy.
This is actually for a pantry. They're drawers for a pantry.
Members use donated materials to construct items like drawers, cupboards and possum boxes for the community.
You don't even need to be into woodwork, it's just a great space to hang out with like-minded people that have been through similar experiences.
Liz was diagnosed with lung cancer 10 years ago, which spread to her spine before it collapsed in 2020.
My autonomy's gone. Me as a person has been taken away.
Her husband Neil visits the shed while she receives treatment at the nearby hospital.
I just enjoyed it. So we're both doing something today together, but in separate little places across the road from each other.
We both, it's like dancing on tables for me, like I used to do, but I can't do the dancing on the table. But it's worked out magical for us.
Wellbeing has also become a key part of patients' care inside the hospital.
They can come out of being a cancer patient just for half an hour between appointments, have a cuppa, sit out in the garden, and people find that really valuable.
There are over 360 sheds across Victoria, and this is the first in a hospital precinct. It's connecting patients and families with a community of like-minded peers. Hammering home an initiative for better mental health. Costa Haritos, ABC News.
Environmentalists are calling for urgent action to contain toxic material they say is leaching into 2 World Heritage areas in North Queensland. Buzz Rudick reports.
On the doorstep of the protected Hinchinbrook Island sits a 53-acre dump site and a large hole that's causing great concern.
And you can see water flowing out through the breach. For a long period of time, sediment, contaminated sediment from those spoil ponds have been escaping into the National Park and the World Heritage area.
It'll be an integrated resort, very comprehensive at all types.
The legacy of a failed resort development, where sediment was dredged and dumped to create Port Hinchinbrook. Much of the material potentially toxic acid sulphate soils. The Environment Department was made aware of the breach around 18 months ago.
This is a gross, I mean gross, negligence. They are the body that is responsible for protection of the environment.
In January last year, the department issued an order to the liquidator to repair the hole. But they can't afford the work, with $10 million owed.
Fish and any other organism. So the pH level can go below 2, which is sort of like battery acid. So the acidity dissolves the minerals and you get a release of a whole lot of metals like iron and aluminium.
A spokesperson from the Environment Department said the pH level of water in the most recent tests had returned to normal and that heavy metals that had been identified remained localised. To the north at the port, dredging has restarted with emergency funding from the federal government.
This is only a short-term solution. We've come to the realisation that this is better than no solution at all.
But it's undecided where the 990 tonnes of sediment will be dumped. Environmentalists want the site to be better managed to protect the seagrass beds and the dugong.
we as a local community have responsibility for these areas. They are ours, they are our backyard. They're for us to look after, not to neglect and lose the species that we value the most.
Baz Ruddick, ABC News, Hinchinbrook.
A popular lake on Tasmania's west coast will remain closed for at least another week as authorities work to contain an oil spill. The lake's closure has disappointed tourists and forced Tulla locals to conserve water.
A slick black line along the shore and marking the stems of freshwater reeds is evidence of up to 5,000 litres of oil that leaked into Lake Rosebery near Tulla earlier this month. Tasmania's Environment Protection Authority says the oil spilled from a nearby tank, partially buried on private land, when it was inundated by wet weather.
We suspect upwards or around 30 kilometres of shoreline has been potentially impacted. We've confirmed roughly about 18 kilometres of that shoreline thus far in our investigations.
Crews have been working to contain the oil. Now they're focused on removal.
Vegetation removal along the old shoreline is one idea that is being explored. There may also be a need to do some low-level water flushing of the shoreline as well.
Tanks of drinking water are being brought into Tulla for locals, who are being asked to conserve water. Summer is the West Coast's peak tourism season. The lake is used for recreational fishing and swimming, but the local restaurant and accommodation provider says visitor numbers have remained steady.
Some of the tourists aren't happy. They've come here because they want to have, you know, the experience with the lake and do some stuff on the lake, and when they come here and actually find out they can't, they're a little bit disappointed.
It's been sad news for these Scottish cyclists touring around Tasmania.
Oh, it's devastating because we were hoping for a dip in the lake to ease the legs off and just relax and enjoy it. So it is disappointing, unfortunately.
We're here on holiday, so we're only affected marginally. I hope that nobody else is worse affected than we are.
A week-long closure has already blown out, with the lake remaining off limits until at least midnight of January 31st. It's not yet known what the long-term impacts will be. Beck Pritham, ABC News, Tulla.
India's 76th Republic Day parade at Katravia highlighted the prominent role of women officers and personnel leading various contingents and demonstrating their dedication, discipline and leadership in the defence and security forces.
President of India Draupadi Murmu is also the Supreme Commander of the Defence Forces. As she took the salute, the following contingents had a fair amount of representation of the growing footprints of women power in all the wings of security forces. India's inevitable women power was also too hard to miss during the entire Republic Day march past on the majestic Kartavya Path. Women officers and serving personnel participated in many marching contingents, while many were led by them. The women officers showed once again that when it comes to lead from the front, they are second to none. The women officers of the Indian Army, Navy, Coast Guard were at the forefront of leading their respective units in the march past.
The Bharat Mobility Global Expo 2025 concluded, marking a milestone in India's automotive innovation and sustainability journey.
The Bharat Mobility Expo 2025 was inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on day one, setting the tone for the landmark event. In his address, the Prime Minister highlighted India's automotive sector as a driving force for economic growth, fueled by technological advancements, better infrastructure and an enthusiastic young consumer base.
भारत की सबसे बड़ी युवा आबादी, मिडिल क्लास का लगातार बढ़ता दायरा, तेजी से होता अर्बनाइजेशन, भारत में बन रहा आधुनिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, मेक इन इंडिया से अफोर्डेबल व्हीकल, ये सारे फैक्टर्स भारत में ऑटो सेक्टर की ग्रोथ को पुश करने वाले हैं, नई ताकत देने वाले हैं.
The 5-day expo saw over 200 product launches, including electric and flex fuel vehicles. With more than 34 vehicle manufacturers and 1,500 exhibitors, the event spanned an impressive 200,000 square meters, making it the largest in history. Attendance surged past 800,000 visitors, making it one of the world's largest auto show ever. Among the highlights were air taxis, electric bicycles, hydrogen engines, and cars with solar panels. While luxury brands turned heads with their electric offerings, two-wheeler brands came prepared to cater to diverse audiences. International participation added to the excitement, with various global brands entering the Indian market with futuristic concepts showcasing the possibilities of tomorrow. This year, the expo introduced an integrated format combining the Auto Expo Components Show in Dwarka and Urban Mobility and Infrastructure Show in Greater Noida. Visitors explored cutting-edge vehicle parts, smart city solutions, and more, all under one cohesive banner.
With several 100,000 visitors, thousands of exhibitors, thousands of cars, and an inauguration by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself, the Bharat Mobility Exposition 2025 has set new standards as far as the exposition of mobility industry is concerned in the country, and has set new standards for any future mobility expo that is going to take place, and has presented not just the present of the mobility in the country but also the future. With camera person Sunil Rana, Makshi Dongre, DD India.
The International Commercial Organic and Millets Mela 2025 commenced in the southern Indian state of Karnataka on Thursday, highlighting
and cereals millets in the country.
We have been experimenting with a lot of millets for a lot of dishes on the menu. We have experimented in showcasing millets for all the international cuisines that are available.
I definitely feel like raising awareness about such native Indian grains is very necessary for the overall health of our country.
Today I'll be speaking about desserts that
Canned oats have been an unwelcome addition in Northern Australia for much of the last 90 years, but across WA, the NT and Queensland, volunteers are being encouraged to get hands-on to protect our native wildlife as invasive pests continue to spread across the continent.
Gloves on and buckets at the ready. It's a humid evening at the Territory Wildlife Park outside of Darwin, but this trainload of people aren't here for the native animals. They're looking for something else.
When it gets dark, we'll go towards right on the water's edge. They often just sit.
Cane toads, the feral pest that's now an all too common sight right across Northern Australia. For Joel Mitchell and his family, cane toad hunts at the park have long been a family favourite outing.
We love looking at critters, we love the top end, we love all the, wild and wonderful creatures at night time. It's a whole different world at night.
This lagoon is swarming with baby toads at first, but when the sun sets...
Oh, there's one.
Wait. Once caught, the toads are counted and weighed and will be humanely disposed of.
We've been out for just under an hour now. We've caught a lot of little baby toads, but no real big ones. But even those little ones will grow up to be big toads. So we're removing them from the park, which will make a big difference.
Sometimes we get a lot, and sometimes it's just they're not around.